Thank you for joining me this morning on this presentation on ArcGIS Hub. If you've not met me, my name is Shane Clark, and I'm a solution engineer with the local government team in the Esri Olympia Regional Office. Today, I'll be giving an overview of community engagement and its challenges, followed by an overview of ArcGIS Hub. We will briefly discuss some of the recent new developments and capabilities in Hub. Then we'll look at some customer highlights, some success stories, and then we'll finish up with a demonstration of some success stories as well as some of the new highlights in ArcGIS Hub. If you do have any questions, please use the Hoover app and put them in the Q&A section. I will do my best to answer these questions as we go through, and I also will do my best to make sure we've got some time at the end of the session for some Q&A. So with that, let's dive in. Every community wants to be smarter. They want to be healthier, safer, more prosperous. But as they evolve and grow, they are facing some complex challenges. Engagement and collaboration are not as simple as it once was. So the question is, how? How do we get to be healthier, safer, more prosperous communities? Well, through collaboration and community engagement that are focused on initiatives. Community engagement is more than just another step toward the completion of a project or checking a box. It is the meaningful, active involvement of key stakeholders in the decision-making process as it relates to real outcomes that make these safer, healthier, and more prosperous communities. When it comes to this idea of engagement, I'm sure many of you are familiar with engagement patterns and milestones within these patterns. The idea of these milestones is to ensure that valuable collaboration and engagement is being thought out and implemented. Milestones are really a point in time that keep our attention on the initiative at hand. Milestones like the ones you see here are really to identify opportunities for stakeholders and to keep initiatives on track. So what you see here is fairly simple. Start by building a strategy around your collaboration and engagement. This collaboration could be for a variety of initiatives such as Vision Zero, reducing homelessness, updates to zoning, really any initiative your organization is working towards and that needs a collaboration and engagement strategy to be successful. Once you build the strategy, you can choose activities around it. Maybe you need focused feedback from a select group of individuals, or maybe you need more broader feedback. You can choose activities based on the initiative you're working on. Then we need to focus on needs. Effective collaboration and engagement should be focused on community needs. By focusing on overall community improvement and being clear on the outcome of these engagements, more people may be willing to actively participate and collaborate. Next, establishing objectives is essential in keeping these initiatives on track. Engagement just to engage won't be beneficial to either the government organization or stakeholders related to it. Identifying and staying true to the reason and purpose of this work will lead to successful collaboration. However, we have found that often there are many challenges that come with engagement and collaboration around initiatives. The first of these challenges, and many of these challenges are both internal and external. I'm sure you're familiar with these. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to be explaining these challenges and how different organizations have overcome them. The first challenge is governance, which I'm sure you're all acutely familiar with. Governance is a challenge for any organization, whether it's related to community engagement or data governance. Governance not only provides transparency, but it holds everyone involved accountable and defines how these initiatives are set and achieved. The idea is really about ensuring that people that need to make changes have the access to do so. For example, if a person in GIS is aware of ArcGIS Hub for COVID-19 outreach, but the communication staff don't know about it, there really is no direction as to what information should be given to the broader public. Achieving proper governance is important to help the community develop trust and ensure there is accountability while moving towards the completion of these initiatives. However, it's extremely hard, especially in a virtual environment. The second challenge is resources. Resources have been and always will be a concern in government which affects community engagement. So often we see that a common barrier to effective engagement and collaboration is resources, or the lack thereof. It starts at the first step of engagement, building a strategy. Lack of time and staff to effectively put a strategy in place and continue it throughout its life cycle is often the biggest obstacle organizations face. And the absence of a strategy for your initiative, for your collaboration engagement, is going to have an impact on the success of that initiative. The third challenge is community building. At its core, building a community encourages different areas to work together on tasks that provide a better future. Really, this idea is about replacing this idea that individual communities are all alone and not part of a greater community. Community building takes time, but can be extremely rewarding. Community building can bring government organizations much more than trust. It can help drive every aspect of a government's goals and provide valuable data, intelligence, and ideas that allow their cities, counties, states, and communities to grow and flourish. The last challenge is accessible participation. Ensuring that all voices are heard despite demographics, location, and other factors is so important in engagement. You want to ensure your data is representative of all residents, especially in broad forms of engagement. There should be both in-person and online engagement options. If a person isn't physically able to make it to a town hall meeting, perhaps they don't have the resources to get there. How are their opinions meant to be heard? When we're talking about accessible participation, I often think that one of the most important aspects is the data that we're not collecting. So it's really important to analyze where you're getting feedback and participation from, and then to look at where you're not getting feedback and participation from. So then how do we address these challenges with collaboration engagement in mind using the tools you already have? With ArcGIS Hub, an all-inclusive community engagement platform, you can address these challenges while effectively engaging with stakeholders. Collaboration is engagement around interests. We understand the kind of actions you take depend on your focus area or interest. So this is a way to show how people do engagement. These are the types of collaboration that may be sought after, depending on the type of initiative work that is being done. And this collaboration happens in 4 different ways: with focus feedback, with transparency and feedback, reinforced messaging, and work closely together. First, work closely together with collaborators such as consultants, policymakers, or technical working groups to address the issue of community building. Close collaborators such as technical working groups, both internal and external, can help steer collaboration sessions and drive engagement forward to build the community. The more collaborators that you work with, the greater the chance of success of your initiative. The next collaboration is transparency and feedback from the broader community. Communicating with the community at large creates transparency and builds trust while addressing the resources. As a central source of information, Hub enables people to gain a better understanding of initiatives and stay informed of its progress. The next solution we have is reinforced messaging to address accessible participation. For this type of collaboration, you would want to use project champions to spread messages to ensure key stakeholders are heard. Project champions are well-known figures who have broad connections with the communities, such as city council members, partners at advocacy and nonprofit groups, faith-based leaders, and healthcare organization representatives. By partnering with these individuals, Teams gain champions who support key messaging around the organization's initiatives and can bring greater awareness to it through their own communication channels. The last collaboration pattern here is focused feedback. Focused feedback addresses the challenge of governance. Key stakeholders can help identify gaps in messaging and niche communities who are uniquely affected by the initiative or project. So ArcGIS Hub is an all-inclusive community engagement platform that hosts data sharing, establishes citywide initiatives, and leverages the broader community. And really what this means is that Hub extends GIS and brings it into communities so they can work more collaboratively. We focus on making the system simple to use. It's browser-based and sits on top of your current ArcGIS Online. So anyone with access to ArcGIS Online has ArcGIS Hub available to them. Social, economic, and environmental issues have become tightly interconnected. All of these are community-oriented issues. To address smart communities' challenges, ArcGIS Hub plays a fundamental role in communication, information sharing and processing, and data transfer between stakeholders to enable collaboration and engagement. So with that, what can Hub specifically do? So let me quickly go over some common patterns of use, and you can think about where or how your organization may want to enable Hub to digitally engage with your customers and citizens and your community. The first use of Hub is to communicate important topics. Hub allows you and departments within your organization to quickly spin up project pages with feedback tools, communicate changes, and help explore new visions or goals that stakeholders want to achieve. With Hub, it's easy to inform the community on changes that may be happening in your region or area. This is beneficial for sharing out information to non-GIS people. Even non-GIS people within your organization can create these sites without any GIS knowledge. If you can build a website using something like Wix, you can certainly build a Hub initiative or Hub site using ArcGIS Hub. You can also create custom URLs as an added bonus. The second use of ArcGIS Hub is to connect and open the data. This is the ability to share data on a common platform that is already integrated into your ArcGIS Online and your current ArcGIS GIS platform. You all have this ability today. As I mentioned earlier, if you have ArcGIS Online, you have access to ArcGIS Hub Basic. The third deliverable is that you can capture information and feedback. ArcGIS Hub provides better collaboration with communities, governments, and universities by supporting feedback tools and events so that community members can evaluate goals and know when events related to an issue are happening. Within this, your community members can register to sign up for updates from the city or county, or you could share specific applications or data with secure logins through community identities. And lastly, ArcGIS Hub helps enable collaboration. Hub provides a modern approach to community building, a platform to encourage people to be part of a citywide initiative like reducing homelessness or increasing feedback for a project. And this framework also allows you to create and share templates. If you create a site that matches all of your city's branding guidelines with the right fonts, colors, and overall look, you can save a template of that initiative and other departments can use it too for their initiatives or work. Using templates can be done with Hub Basic. Creating templates requires the Hub Premium licensing level. So the basic version of ArcGIS Hub comes with ArcGIS Online. So anyone here who has access to ArcGIS Online, which I'm assuming is everyone in this audience, anyone who has access to ArcGIS Online has access to ArcGIS Hub Basic. With this version of Hub, you can create some beautiful sites and share information on them, and also share data openly or privately. So again, that's included with ArcGIS Online. Many of the Hub sites out there that are amazing are based on or built using ArcGIS Hub Basic. To extend Hub to include the community and have initiatives, events, teams, and have a more engagement framework, there's Hub Premium, which has an additional fee. Hub Premium has the engagement framework and tools to collaborate with stakeholders in an environment that you already own. And if you're curious if this capability is also available behind your firewall, there is a product from Esri called Enterprise Sites that is part of our ArcGIS Enterprise software product. Enterprise Sites gives you similar functionality to ArcGIS Basic, but it runs on your ArcGIS Enterprise environment. You can build sites and share our data and content. So with that overview, that brief overview of community engagement, collaboration, and ArcGIS Hub, let's switch gears a little bit to some of the new capabilities in ArcGIS Hub since you maybe last saw ArcGIS Hub. We will look at some of these capabilities, and then I will switch gears and look at some sites and do a brief demonstration of some of these new capabilities. The first new capability is a redesigned content views. The new content views feature an immersive full screen display for better views of the data. This immersive display provides readability for PDFs or documents, and you can also apply filters, and there's an improved download service or experience. A recent update allowed you to determine or have a setting as to whether the information display is exposed by default or if it's hidden by default or collapsed by default. The second newish capability is enhanced row visibilities. In the past, what you could do with ArcGIS Hub is you could create a site or a page and choose to share that selectively, either to the public, to your organization, or to particular groups. So you either shared the entire page and all the content within that page. Recently, we added this capability where you can now share at an individual row level. So an example you see in front of you on the left-hand side is someone who's signed in, who is either or not signed in or signed in and is not part of a particular group. On the right-hand side is someone who's signed in that is part of the group that this particular row in yellow has been shared to. And doing this is fairly easy. You just click on the row, and in the visibility section, there's a way of sharing to a group or groups within your ArcGIS Hub community. The next improvement is GDPR compliance. GDPR is a general data protection regulation from the European Union. And although we are not in the European Union, it has some capabilities that are useful to all of us. Something that ArcGIS Hub has supported since its beginning is the ability to track activity on Hub sites. We have dashboards where you can track spikes and declines of your site's traffic to monitor and evaluate how the site is doing and what data is being downloaded, things like that. This new update to be compliant with GDPR has optional tracking. So when a user comes to a Hub site, they can accept or reject the tracking. If they reject, it stops tracking that user throughout the rest of their activity. You can also turn it off and disable this, so if a user comes to a site, they don't see the pop-up. And this pop-up is configurable. We have some default text, but you can actually change it to have your own text, as you see in the example on the right. The next improvement are templates. In the past, to actually access the majority of templates, you needed to have Hub Premium, What we've now done is we've enabled templates that have been shared publicly to even Hub basic sites. The ability to create a template is still a premium functionality, but now everyone can use these templates as a starting off point for engagement. For example, the state of Arizona created a template for their own open data sharing. So if you want to, you could launch that template that Arizona created and customize it for your own organization's open data site. These templates can really save you a lot of time and effort. And they're also a really good way of seeing what other customers have done and learning from their good work. Also, you can launch some of our ArcGIS solution templates. Many of these solutions, like the Citizen Problem Reporter, include ArcGIS Hub for engagement and collaboration, so it's accessible within Hub as well. Again, these are jumping off points to save on resources to allow you to quickly spin up initiatives and start collaborating. Lastly, there's more information on those templates. It's kind of like metadata for the templates. You can see what's included in the template and what would be launched through the template activation. So for example, if you look at the bottom, you can see that for this particular capital project tracking initiative, there's 3 different sites that are included, and then there's a recommended site that you can enable if you so choose. And then a more recent update, just in the last month or so, is map-based feedback. You can create, with an ArcGIS Hub, you can create a survey 1 to 3 form for getting feedback from your community, your collaboration and engagement. This form can be embedded, or you can link to an existing survey 1 to 3 form. What we recently added is a display setting for linked forms. You can now select that the map focus setting to have the form open focused on the map. This is really useful if you're wanting feedback from enabling respondents to draw points, lines, or polygons on a map and then answer some related questions. ArcGIS Hub also includes some other templates for surveys. In addition to these map-focused surveys, there's a quick poll survey, as well as a more detailed questionnaire. And of course, you can create a survey from scratch if you so choose. And there's a lot more. Here are some of the other updates that have recently been made it into ArcGIS Hub. There's now an out-of-the-box accordion feature that you can use. In the top left, you can see the screenshot of this accordion feature. These are used a lot for frequently asked questions or even to show different applications. If you want to access this feature, you go to the text card and you choose the plus button. Every site has theme settings located on the editor's side panel. Now you can access some of these settings when editing the row. So instead of having to navigate back to the theme settings, you can now select a theme color in the row settings that was predefined in the theme setting for the initiative. We've been integrating Survey 103 for a while now. What we've added is within ArcGIS Hub is made it easier to actually change the sharing properties and controls of Survey 103. You can do this in the side panel when editing a survey. These settings that can be configured includes the close dates of the survey, submission editing, multiple submissions, and even result privacy. The last new feature that I want to discuss is the people card. You can add this new card to a page to highlight the stakeholders or collaborators, making your initiative a success. Visitors can learn more about what's new in the ArcGIS Hub blog. So let's switch gears now and look at some customer sites and then a brief demonstration. So before we do that, there's a couple of questions from the Q&A Are there any engagement capabilities without the premium subscription, even basic engagement features? Absolutely. Survey 123 is our primary form of engagement, where you can link or embed a survey into your site, and that's a way that you can get feedback from customers. The second question is the map-based feedback available with BASIC? Yes, it is. It's a capability of Survey 123, linking or embedding Survey 123. Actually, the map-based feedback only works with linked surveys, not with embedded surveys. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few sites. I will move through them fairly quickly. The PowerPoint that I will share has links to all of these sites, so you can explore them at your own leisure. The first one is Move DC. This is from Washington, DC, District of Columbia. In the past, the way they used to do major capital improvement projects and transportation projects is that they would have the contractors who actually did the work actually set up a website to inform the public about this particular project. And the result of that is that when the work was completed, these websites were no longer updated, the city didn't have access to the website, and really you ended up with a bunch of websites that were out of date and never kept up to date. So recently the city set a policy that all projects will be done via ArcGIS Hub. The city has created this hub site, they've created templates, and they're using this hub site to communicate what's going on in these transportation projects in DC. The contractors still actually maintain the particular hub site for their project, but once that project, the physical project is completed, the city still has access to that, and they can maintain it and update it and manage it. So this is a really good hub site where they've got a lot of detail. It's fairly well laid out. You know, for example, here's a way to subscribe to this initiative. They describe their equity policy, how that impacts their Department of Transportation mission and what they do, an equity statement, goals and policies, a pretty well laid out project. The second one I want to show you is the city of Fullerton in Southern California. This city actually is using Hub to actually inform the public and collaborate with the public around changes to downtown Fullerton. So if you scroll through here, they have some basic information about the city. I like this site. It's fairly easy on the eyes. Some of the links don't work. I'm not quite sure why. They've got two main sections on here. They've got their housing plan and what the city is doing to address housing shortages. What's interesting here is that they used our dashboard, ArcGIS dashboard, to create these demographic flashcards. And these cards just show some basic demographic information from the Esri Living Atlas set of data. And fairly useful to see what's actually happening in the city. And then the other part they've got in this hub site, which I enjoy, is this downtown on the go. What are the plans for the city that the city's following to increase mobility downtown? So they talk about their transportation plans. They've got a really interesting map here of walking and cycling perimeters. They've got ways of different attending, fill out a survey. This is actually to go back to one of your questions. This is a Hub Basic site. And the reason why I know it's a Hub Basic site is there's no follow me button in the left-hand corner here. So this basic site has implemented surveys to actually participate. They've got virtual workshops that you can participate all within this. They've got actually a embedded crowdsourced reporter application that allows people to provide feedback to routes, walking, and biking routes. So all of this would be classified under engagement. And again, none of this is using Hub Premium. The next hub site is from the city of Escondido, also in Southern California. They have set up this hub site to deal with homelessness. As you all know, homelessness is a complex problem and challenge in our cities that no one single agency can actually make a dent into it and improve the situation. This is a Hub Premium site. Again, this follow button indicates that this is a Hub Premium site. And they've really got a good approach. They've got a very extensive set of information here. What I like about it is that they are linking with partners, business owners, and residents. So if we click on partners, we will actually see a number of the nonprofits and agencies that they're partnering with. All of these can actually be in your Hub Premium community, which means on the back end, you can create teams that allows you to collaborate privately with these partners. So I'm not signed in, but more than likely there's actually a hidden page here that if I was signed in with one of these accounts for one of these agencies, I may see some additional resources that the public do not see. So pretty interesting website around homelessness that I think it would be really good if more of our cities took this in-depth approach to not only deal with homelessness, but also to communicate that with the community at large. The next hub site, which is also really impressive, is the Montana State Forest Action Plan. In the past, these action plans get updated on a fairly regular basis. In the past, what would happen is that there'd be all these meetings, a document would be produced as a PDF, and this would be fixed. It would not be a living document, and it would just kind of disappear, get lost somewhere in the internet. The governor of Montana has a goal of being more transparent. And so he set up this forest action plan where they're using ArcGIS Hub to communicate. So there's lots of information in this Hub plan. What their plan is, priority areas, community. They actually have different engagement. You can see this is a Hub Premium site again. And the whole advantage of this Hub Premium site or this Hub site is that it's a living document. As new meetings actually happen, these meeting materials can actually be posted. This is certainly easier for me to find than many city, county, state websites. Going and finding meeting minutes is often quite tricky to find them. So lots of information about the meetings, requests for proposals, documents, all really useful information. The next site that I just want to briefly discuss is Valley County in Idaho, who've got what they call a GIS portal. And this GIS portal is really about open data. But what makes a difference is that it's not just the traditional open data where you can download data, because if we're all honest, a small percentage of our communities actually know what to do with this data. They actually have the GIS skills, or they are developers and they know what to do with it. So the other 99% of our community, the way they access open data is through applications. So this GIS portal not only has the data that you can download, it has some map applications that the public can access the same open data through these various map applications. And then it has a variety of dashboards that are really just another web application for accessing data. This site is really clean. It's a Hub Basic site. Another capability that you'll see on many sites is this this enabling of Google Translate on a site, where you can click on this, select a language, and using Google Translate, it will actually translate it automatically. Not always the best translation, but better than nothing. And then another site from the Northwest region is the Missoula County. Recently, they had a zoning update. They'd not updated their zoning code in the county since 1976. So that is like 35 years ago. That's a long time. And of course, if you're making a zoning update over so many years, there's always a potential for miscommunication and the public getting upset, largely because of miscommunication or not knowing what's going on. So the county's done a really good job in actually providing information as to why there's a zoning update is needed, what these different, the proposed new zoning will look like. They've got a comparison tool. They've got PDF maps if you want to print this out and look at them bigger. They've got interactive maps. I think they've done a really good job in actually communicating around these zoning changes. And then, as you can see again from the left, this is a Hub Premium site. So those are just some quick examples that I've shown of some really good Hub sites that I think. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of great Hub sites out there. Have a look at them, see what makes sense, and hopefully these will help in building Hub sites for your community. So I want to switch gears a little bit. What I'm going to show you now is a Hub template, how to use a Hub template. This is the template that I'm going to be using. You can see that it has, out the box, it has a number of pages. One of these pages, like how to use this template, is really just for information purposes, that provides like a help of what to do, how to implement this. And then there's a number of actual pages that you can enable or not enable and can configure for your own situation. So how do we actually do that? Well, we start off with ArcGIS Hub. So if you go to ArcGIS Online and go to the Hub, the app launcher, click on ArcGIS Hub. You get into the Hub site. And now what we can do is we can actually go and create a new initiative. I am using Hub Premium, so I'm seeing the ability of creating a new event. If you were using Hub Basic, you wouldn't see this new event. So we're going to come and create an initiative. We're not going to create it from scratch. We're going to use a template. And I'm going to look at only the Esri templates at this point. And you can see there are a lot of them, 33 to be exact at this point in time. Some of these are from our solutions team, like Adopt a Stop, Adopt a Catch Basin, capital improvement projects. There's a lot around coronavirus that we're not done with yet. We're still working through this pandemic. Election outreach, homeless outreach, equitable property value is a really popular initiative. Performance management, public parking, police transparency. And then the one I'm going to look at is this Share Open Data. So I can activate it now, or I can just click Share Open Data. And this provides like the metadata of the template. You can see that it has the Hub site that's going to be loaded automatically. And then it has these recommended pieces, recommended components of this template. These ones are actually added to my content, and I get the choice of actually adding them to my page or not. So let's activate this template. We can give it a name. I'll give it that name, not very imaginative. And it takes like 30 seconds or so to create this template. So let's go and look at what this template looks like once it's created. You can see that I've already added some of these capabilities to it. If I go and edit this page, we can actually see some of the information. These were some additional pages I've added. Let's look at this hub site as a public user. I'm not signed in. You can see it's a Hub Premium. I can follow this, and I've really done very little work to update this. Most of what you're seeing is out the box. The first one that I added was some groups, one from Portland, one from the city of Yakima, and one from Valley County, just to show you what some of the improvements in the in how you view data is actually in the new hub. So by default, you can now decide that this content view is actually collapsed. And these are just zip codes. It's a fairly simple, simple map. I can click on the information, and I can get some more information on this particular data set. When it was last updated, when it was published, how many records in this data table, who it's shared to. I can look at their license. I can here go and say, well, I want to create a map from this, or story map. I can view some API resources, which I'll get to in a minute, the data source, etc. You can also do things like you can create a filter. So you can say, okay, I don't want all the zip codes, all these records. I only want these records, and it actually allows you to filter these out. Once you've created a filter, we can actually go to the download, and we've got different options. We can download a CSV, KML, shapefile, GeoJSON, and because this data is hosted in ArcGIS Online, we can also download it as a file geodatabase. Because I've got an active filter, I can actually choose to download all the records or only the filtered records. So let's clear the filter. We can do some basic styling here. We can say, okay, let's style this map based on the different values in this particular field. Sorry, my browser's just frozen for a moment. Okay, let me move on. So you can, from that new data content, you can actually easily filter the data, download it. You can create story maps. There's an API Explorer. You can access the API from GeoJSON. There's even an option of actually going and configuring some code around that. Let me see if I can start that up again. Okay, it's back up again. Okay. So if we view the full details on this, this gives us some more metadata on this particular layer, all the information that the city of, or the Valley County, Idaho have implemented. And you can see they've done a really, really good job of completing all this metadata. This is where I was talking about. There's this API Explorer where you can go open API Explorer and say, okay, what code would I need to use if I want to enter an envelope and I want to, for example, enter this envelope over here. And what would the code look like? So now I can actually just copy and paste this code into my application that I'm actually building as a developer. Okay, I will come back to those questions in just a couple of minutes. So that's a really greatly improved content viewer, I think, for open data. Let's go back to this website. And you'll see that I've added a page here called Open Data Team. And I'm not signed in, I'm in the public. So as we scroll down, you can see this is what the page looks like. But if I sign in into a community account as part of my Hub Premium license, you can now see that this row becomes visible. It's really basic, but what I'm illustrating here is that because I'm part of a particular team, I've enabled this, connected this visibility of this row to a particular team. If I sign in as part of this team, I get to see this row. So this selective visibility can be done at the row level, it can be done at the page level, it can be done at the site level. Okay. The other point that I wanted to just show you are some of the settings. Or let me go and show you how you would do that editing of that row visibility. So this is the Hub site that we were looking at. And I'm looking at this page, our Open Data Team. And it's this row that if I click on the edit, you can see here's the different theme options that I can choose from. But under the visibility, this is where I decide what I want to do in terms of visibility of this row. I can select one or more groups. You can see I've created a group here called the Northwest GIS 2021 Open Data, and that's how I've limited visibility to that. The last, well, actually the second to last piece that I just wanted to show you is how to actually create a map focus survey. And it's really simple. You can go into your open data site, you can go to layout, and you can create a survey. And I come here and I say, this is where I want the survey to be. And I can either select an existing survey that I created using Survey 123, or embedded within the whole Hub experience, I can create my own survey. So what I'm going to do is I've got some options here. I can build a survey from scratch. I can use these templates. There are 3 templates at the moment: a quick poll, a questionnaire, or a map survey. If I choose this map survey, it's going to go off to Survey 123 and create this map survey using my template. And there's my survey. I can edit the details, and where do I? And at this point, I can actually go and set the sharing to be linked, and then we can see this map-based or map-focused survey. The last point, since I'm coming towards the end of my session now, that I want to just show you is some settings. There are a number of settings for Hub. The one I talked about with the GDPR in the tracking is over here under tracking and consent. I've disabled this consent notice, but if you enable it, you can see that you can actually modify the message that's displayed. What you also, if you're not aware of, is there's some beta settings. I showed you the Google Translate. This is a beta capability. It's not public or published production yet, but many customers are actually using it. You can actually enable this site translation. So that takes me to the end of my demonstration. So let me switch gears here and see if there's some additional questions that I haven't answered. So are there any engagement capabilities? Yeah, I think I've answered that one. That one. I built an open data site a few years ago using an old Hub template. If I download a new template to ArcGIS Online, will it override my old one? No, it won't. If you create a site using an old, when you create a site using a template, it uses that template, reads all the code, and creates a new site. As to the best of my knowledge, there's no ways of updating a site to a updated template. What you really want to do is you're going to have to create a new site. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It allows you to look at your existing sites from a few years ago, decide are there any improvements, and invariably there are areas for improvement, and make improvements to that. Are you able to change the name of fields, provide an alias when using someone else's data? No, you can't, because you don't own that data. If you wanted to, you could download the data and publish it as your own service, and that would allow you to do whatever you want to do with the data. Can we get the slides with the links that you mentioned? Yes, I will figure out how to make those that PowerPoint available, and I will work with Randy and Samantha to figure out how to do that and make it available. So, yep. The next question is, looking forward to launching Hub Premium along with ArcGIS Urban soon for the fire impacted community of Talent, Oregon. Thanks for the great examples and new feature demos. Thank you, Nikki. Good luck on that. Reach out to Esri if you need any help or feedback, or just to bounce off ideas. We're always happy to help you with that. The next question is, can you keep the same URL if you need to rebuild a hub site with a new template? That's a good question. I believe there is actually a way of reusing an existing URL. I just saw that question today. If you want to, Rachel, if you want to reach out to me, my email address is sclark@esri.com. sclark with an E at esri.com, and I will happily find the answer for you of how you actually go about and do that. Okay, how are we doing on time? We've got 5 more minutes. Keep the questions going. I'll quickly try and go through these. I think I've answered all the questions. Are there any other questions that you want to submit? Okay. Any other questions before we wrap it up? I didn't see, are there any questions in this? There's no questions in the Zoom chat. So with that, I think it looks like there are no more questions. I will give you another minute if you've got any more questions. Okay. With that, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your attending. If you have any questions, please let me know or reach out to anyone within Esri. We're always happy to help. And as I said, we're always happy to give you feedback or just bounce ideas off. Have Have a look at Hub. If you don't have Hub Premium, that's okay. You have Hub access to Hub Basic. A lot of the sites that I showed you actually are using Hub Basic. So you can do an amazing amount of work just with Hub Basic. Thank you again, appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.